Nook there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the video of the Klingon Starbase. The exterior itself is pretty unimposing. This is Tier 0. It's still under construction. What do you expect? I'll say this, however, they did at least get the external hull plating on, which is more than the Federation managed. The interior! Oh, wow. The interior is so much better than the Federation Starbase. We've got the blast shutters open in 12th Honor Guard. We managed to get the optional mission going. Hopefully Cryptic will rerun this, because the view isn't bad at all. The officer of the watch actually has a command deck, and, I mean, look at it. Once we get some officers manning these stations, that will be so much better than the janitor's cupboard that his Federation counterpart currently has to put up with. Transporter stage off to the right, that's where we beamed in, obviously, and of course you can beam out both to station orbit and indeed straight back to Eta Eridani. This doesn't really go anywhere, it's just background detail, nothing hidden under there. Central concourse, properly lit. Glory to the Empire. And the bar, ladies and gentlemen, the bar is almost finished, and it is, again, so much nicer than that odd little disco we got on the Starbase. Hopefully, when we get the place up and running, we'll have a fire of 100 tribbles here, along with some slow roasting targ. Oh. Tribble roasted targ, ladies and gentlemen. It is so nice. Obviously, the Orions are providing the entertainment, so hopefully we can get a poll there. Am I even allowed to express that sentiment on YouTube? Oh well, we'll find out. Continuing on, back onto the main concourse, properly designed, properly set up, very, well, Klingon. The nods to the architecture in the Great Hall on Kronos are pretty much intentional, I would assume. One holodeck here, if for some reason you find real opponents and real blood to unsettle your pathetic little stomach. That doesn't go anywhere yet. Right, let's see what we've got in this other corridor. The left hand, the Sinister Corridor. Well, it turns out it's a little more useful. Down here we have the various procurement officers. Those of you who've been paying attention will recognise that a lot of these assets are reused. I must emphasise that this is not a bad thing. For a start, let's face it, requisitions shops the world over are all going to look the same. Am I being petty to complain that the tailor has a Starfleet uniform as her icon? Probably, but I'm going to complain about it anyway. Down to the first of the decks, engineering. Right. We have an office off to the centre, we'll come back to that. And we have the Starbase's main engineering. Again, this is a set reuse. Those of you who have played the Planet Killer mission, I can't remember the name offhand, will recognise this as the engine room of the Klingon cruiser, and I believe it's popped up in a few other places. This isn't a bad thing. For one, Star Trek has a long and gloried history of set reuses. The Amagosa Observatory set from Generations was used several times. I believe it did duty as a Starship bridge at least once. Then there's the in-universe reason that, let's face it, it is easier to churn out half a dozen battlecruiser or dreadnought-grade engines, just bolt them together, than have to build custom reactors time and time again. At least when someone's trained on one reactor complex, they will understand a lot. That door doesn't go anywhere, and that's pretty much it for this floor. On to the next deck, tactical. Now, we don't have counsellors in the KDF. We have brig officers. If you are feeling tired of blood, if you somehow doubt that glory is to be found when you have buried a bat'leth in your opponent's spine. Then come and speak to our brig officer and he will assuage your doubts with a paint stick if need be. That is a high-level contact for the starbases. It's the equivalent of the councillor. And doesn't that just sum up the difference between the Klingons and the Federation? Diplomacy. Right, tactical deck. Starship Requisitions there, ship selection, quick jump over the Heart of Virtue, and we have a little ready office. Note the location of that pad, it does play into one fool's fate on this base. If you happen to draw that particular officer of the watch mission, Norsa can contact there if you feel the need to recruit any of them. And last, and most definitely least, we have the science deck. The medicine deck. Also known as the principal butcher's shop of this starbase. Alright. I've no idea why she was bashing the wall panel. Presumably that is the Orion cure for something. I give him. Medic there. Hello, nurse. Alright, she's not interested. Fair enough. Remind me never to get injured here while she's on duty. Continuing on, we come into the officer retraining section, which, Klingons being Klingons, is basically a funny name for a tap on the head with a mallet. You have to wonder why the skill retraining requires 3 isolation beds behind a quarantine field. Then again, perhaps you shouldn't. And lastly, in here we have the science office, with its bridge officer trainer and some miscellaneous odds and sods and consoles. You've also got your Gorn duty officer contact down here, so that is worth bearing in mind. If you can't be bothered to make the trip back to Kronos, if all goes to plan, you should, with a suitably levelled base, be able to get your contacts and your duty officer recruitment missions done here instead. Kronos orbit isn't quite as bad as Earth orbit in terms of its chat zones, but even so, it's one of those places you tire of rather quickly. And so we come back to the operations deck, which actually deserves its title, unlike the Federation disco floor. The Klingon Starbase, ladies and gentlemen, I wish whoever did this had been given the Federation Starbase as well, because frankly, they've made a much, much better job of it. Ladies and gentlemen, I will see you next time, if there is one.